Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Redmen Originals Podcast. Did I almost forget the title of the podcast, despite having done it for so many years? Yes, I did. But here we are. We roll. I'm Paul Machin. Remember that just about. Chris Pager, Chloe Bloxham, Dan Clubb are with me in the studio for this one. Got a lot of earth tones going on in the middle of the desk. Flanked by red, looking good, guys. Right.
This looks good, actually, doesn't it? Yeah, I like this little autumnal thing going on between me and
just
Chloe.
Blending in with the desks.
A bit of absolute fire from the edges.
We need the winds now, don't we? Use the wind here. We've got earth, wind and fire going on.
Yeah.
No. I can bring
Chris had a roast for us.
I was looking directly at you.
Disgusting. Yeah, I just like to say, of course, thank you so much once again to oosh.co.uk who partnered with us for the season. Absolutely brilliant people giving away some frankly ridiculous prizes. So keep your eyes peeled. There'll be links in our content throughout the season on YouTube. So have a little gander at them and see if it's for you. Before we talk about the Merseyside derby and of course ahead to the week's action, I just want to make mention of Matt Beard, who sadly passed away over the weekend, former Liverpool FC women's manager. I felt really weird about this, Dan, because it was about this time last year. I worked with him on one of the extra player portraits. Came across as an absolutely wonderful fella, but of course, I don't know. I feel really awkward about things like this and talking about them and doing things on socials about them because, yeah, he's obviously, it's a time for his family and actually all the players who played with him, and he's had a massive impact on so many careers. But I think one thing that's been really telling is the outpouring of just absolute unbridled positivity around him.
Yeah, it spoke volumes of the human being that he was. Very, very selfless, always put everybody else first. Some of the stories that I've heard since the tragic and devastating news have just been really befitting the man I met a few times as well, because I'm with you. I was really sort of reticent to put anything out there because my dealings with him were small fry compared to those that knew him far better than I ever could and those that worked with him and what have you. But yeah, absolutely heartbreaking news. But you're right, every single word that's been said about him since has just been so fitting and really sort of encaptures the man that he was, because he was lovely. He was just absolutely had time for everybody. And always put everybody else first. It felt like that kind of just humble, understated human being. But let's be honest as well, a really good football man who had a very successful time in football. So yeah, absolutely gutted to see that over the weekend. Again, I only had 5-6 interactions with him, but they were all wonderful. And I'm just so sad for his friends and his family and his loved ones.
Yeah, if anyone wants to obviously go deeper in it, of course, if you don't know, he won back-to-back WSL titles for Liverpool, and also was the manager who came back and got them back into WSL, having been in the Championship as well. So yeah, forever indelibly, etched into the history of the football club, which is very much great to see. But Emma Sanders, who's a long-term friend of Redmen TV, works for the BBC, has written a sort of a piece to him and a bit of like a real sense of what a great person he was, as well as the football manager on the BBC website. So I would recommend going and checking that out. But yeah, I mean, Chris, it's just crap news. I mean, I think he was only in his mid-40s. Absolutely no age, and yeah, you don't want to like kind of make a wider sort of thing about this, but it's another piece of just necessarily sad news in what feels like another long line of things that have been happening in recent months.
Yeah, I mean, the tragedy around Liverpool Football Club just never seems to stop, does it? And obviously in the last few months we've dealt with obviously Jota, we've dealt with Matt Beard now as well, we've had the stuff from the parade, that's 3 months periods, and so it feels like it's a real downer at the moment. But I think what I've liked about what I've seen on social media and stuff over the weekend since Matt's passing is that the outpouring of love, like that's immense, because I never actually met him, I never actually worked with him in any way, shape or form, but I know a lot of people that did, and every single one of them has gone out the way to almost write an essay about how good a person he was. And I've seen people pass away and that not be the case, so it seems to be that he really was absolutely top drawer, and maybe to the point where he put others before himself. And that is a measure of the man, obviously, but it's also really sad because the world's a worse place for not having someone like that in it.
Yeah, I've done a bit of work with the Liverpool women's players in the last year or so, and it always strikes me actually how brilliant they all are, and the communities, and he's had such a huge part in that, and the relationship he has with his players. I was with him and Grace Fisk, and they were just great, and they were like mates, and obviously there was a mutual respect there. I think she played with him at West Ham as well, and he had that relationship with a few of the players who we brought up to the club with him again the second time around. And yeah, it's a real loss to football in particular. So yeah, Chloe, is there anything you want to add or?
Just I wish he understood how much of an impact he had on so many people, and also, women's football, being a woman, the way he's helped transform that and make us centre stage. And look, we've still got a long way to go, but he's helped put women's football on the map. He's helped it become something where it's not, you've not got a job at the same time of trying to be a professional footballer. He's helped shape it so that women have a pathway to go in there. And yeah, like you said there, the way in which he's spoken about says everything about the man. He was more than just a football coach. He was there for absolutely every single one of his players. He was a lovely human being. And he's an icon in the women's football. And I wish he knew that. And it also opens up a wider discussion on, if people are struggling, please do seek help. Please do go and chat to mates, to family, friends, anyone. There are helplines there for you to go and use, because the world is now not as good of a place as it was when Matt Beard was here with us. And to anyone struggling, please do reach out and get the support that you need, because the support is there. Yeah. So that is another thing. But yeah, thank you so much to Matt Beard for what he did for women's football, because before I managed to go the games and the men's games, women's football was the place to be, because it was so easily accessible. And he was a manager whilst I was, a young teenager going to watch the women's team. So he gave some great memories to Reds, and what a boss human being.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I thought, of course, with his friends and family and everyone he worked under and around Matt as well. Okay, then let's move things forward to the Merseyside derby. Another game, another win. 3 games, Chris Pajak, in 7 days. Yeah. Never happens.
Mad, that, innit?
Never happened.
It does happen occasionally. And the manager mentioned it as well, didn't he? Which was nice to say. And he mentioned the fact that sometimes it doesn't happen.
Did he go, Chris Pajak?
He said, yeah, sometimes it isn't 3 days, games in 7 days.
Chris Pajak doesn't understand formations or how regular football is played.
Yeah. But this is the thing, when you play Saturday and you play Sunday and you play midweek, that it does equal 3 games in a week, which I've never had a problem with calling it. My problem is calling Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday 3 games in a week, which it's not. But we all know this. And we dealt with the 3 games in 7 days very, very well, didn't we? That's what it comes down to. And the fact that this was probably, off the back of a game against Atletico, a 12:30 kickoff, the derby, everything else, the weather, obviously being a factor in the game. I just thought Liverpool got everything absolutely spot on again in that first half. Thought we really took the game to Everton, and obviously the result is absolutely massive.
I want to know, Dan, when did we stop talking about like European hangovers? Because I was talking to my dad about this yesterday, that it used to be a thing. You used to say if you played in midweek, you would always struggle more at the weekend. And I wonder whether this is like a Klopp thing, because we've become so accustomed to being so good. But I wasn't even thinking about the fatigue. I came out of that match and was just like, well, we started well, the legs fell off, and we managed to get over the line, but they were done in. Absolutely done it.
Yeah, it does feel like it's a bit more of an afterthought. It never really crossed my mind until much later on. He kind of, as you're explaining how difficult the match was and the fact we managed to get over the line, the 3 points was so important, etc. Then you kind of go, oh, and considering the fact we played midweek, that's actually even more impressive. But I think my first thought as you started that question was, it's because we're boss. And then my next thought was, because of the squad depth and the quality that we have, and we're able to make changes and doesn't really limit or lessen what we're able to do. But then I think this is a very Liverpool-centric conversation because we don't seem to have European hangovers. But if you look around the Premier League, everybody else that played in Europe midweek, that isn't quite so true. So, yeah, I just think it is because we've managed to get ourselves in a situation where, again, I come back to the squad depth and the rotation. We're able to, nobody can have that luxury of Florian Wirtz on the bench. Like, it's silly, you know what I mean? Whilst, one of them have conversations about how he started still, but it is, it is absolutely luxurious position that we found ourselves in. But, yeah, I do think, again, also the trained to do this now. You know what I mean? This is just par for the course when you play for a team like Liverpool. You're going to have to go, twice in 3 days, twice in 4 days, minimum, really. So, yeah, I just think it's who we are as a football team now.
Yeah, it is. It was just one of the little musings that it was always a thing. You would and we would always drop points, or at least you draw a lot of games, and you'd be like, why has that happened? Oh, because we played a really intense game of football. Whereas the team we've played have had their feet up all week.
It's just Thursday, Sunday now, it feels like. That's the one people speak about more, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Europa League stuff, Thursday, Sunday stuff.
I think when you're not as good as the top two teams, I think it's still a problem. I think Newcastle, still a problem this weekend, wasn't it? 0-0 for them. Although them scoring has been a problem all season long. So I do think when you're 4th, 5th, it's much harder because you're just not as good.
Yeah.
Or you're getting used to it for the first time, whereas
Newcastle struggled with that first time around to the point.
Exactly, yeah. So. It's one of them, isn't it, where Chelsea dip out of Europe for a year or so, then they come back in, they do really well in the Conference League, then it's to step up into the Champions League is a little bit more difficult for them. Liverpool have been used to Champions League midweek and assaulting going for a Premier League for how many years now? It's quite a few, isn't it? It's that consistency of we know how to do this competition and we know how to do this competition and we know the levels. Yeah,
100%. Speaking of levels then, Chloe, first half, just so good at football, and I think especially considering Everton came in with a fair degree of confidence into this one. They've had a really good start by their own standards the season so far. You can see some of the quality, and we'll talk about them in a more general sense in a bit, but there was an expectation that it might be a bit of another tough game, but for the first half an hour certainly of the half, Liverpool just absolutely dominated them.
Yeah, we were, and I was actually quite surprised with the way Everton turned up at Anfield. I actually thought the way they turned up in the second half was exactly how they were going to turn up to this game. I thought they were going to get at us, give us no time, try and kick us about and put us under pressure, but they didn't. And sometimes that is down to them maybe sitting off and going for a different game plan, but also Liverpool were levels above them for the first 30 minutes, and maybe we just meant that they could not actually get close to us. Some of the link-up play and the passages of play was incredible, and there's a couple more chances there that we could have had to completely kill the game off. But we didn't take them because we enjoy close games apparently this season. But yeah, Liverpool were just an absolute level above, and whether that's because and bear in mind, I'm saying this with some players not playing at their best. Do you know what I mean? So I thought we were absolutely. We suffocated them at times. We made it hard for them. And Beto, who I was a little bit worried about because at times he's bullied both half centre-halves, he absolutely had nothing. And we won the ball back and we'd go again. And it was just wave after wave after wave.
Yeah, I was worried about Beto because I'd pulled a Beto Beast Mode card out of the Topps pack and proceeded to laugh my head off at the existence of such a thing. So that was... In fact, I had someone say, I've got a bad feeling about the Beto will score on the back of this. I was like, brilliant. Well, there's nothing I can do about that now, is there? You know what I mean? A natural human reaction to laugh one's head off at the idea that Beast Mode Beto is a thing. Could have somehow seen us undone, but no, he was garbage. So that was fine. Just in terms then of how Liverpool went about unpicking them, Dan, whether it was a design thing or simply because Wirtz wasn't there, it felt much more Liverpool structure from last season, particularly in the midfield. And the double bubble of this is that when you're tired and you've not got loads in the legs, actually going back to something that muscle memory exists for was actually no bad thing. But then in addition to that, you've got Ryan Gravenberch, who has just seemingly gone up to a level that we didn't even know was possible in the last 12 months. So yeah, stylistically, I think it suited Liverpool. But I mean, there's a real argument that Gravenberch is the best midfielder in the Premier League right now. I mean,
Don't even think that's an argument.
Could go beyond.
Yeah. How far beyond do you think you could go with that? Is he the best midfielder in the world right now?
I mean, you're not going to get any further. Universe? Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Yeah, listen, I don't think it's to be dismissed as a conversation. Let's be brutally honest about it. I'd certainly subscribe to the best in the Premier League right now. I don't think anybody's doing it better than him as we speak, to be honest. Just a phenomenon. And it's... The last few weeks in particular, it feels like he's got a newfound freedom. Again, he's playing it completely differently than even he felt like he'd redefined the six before, and now it's different all over again. It's just an absolute joy to watch. He really, really is. And obviously, the goal to boot is just exquisite, isn't it? It's right at the top door. The audacity of that finish. We spoke last week about audacious finishes, didn't we, briefly? Yeah. Like, that's a candidate for me. Just unbelievable. But yeah, I think you're right in terms of how the midfield, again, whether it's by design or not, it's by the by, but it definitely worked in the first half an hour in particular. They couldn't get anywhere near them. And I think having that trained memory of playing against Everton and what that felt like definitely stood us in proper stead.
There's just something to him being unleashed a bit as well, isn't there, Chris? You know, where you've got McAllister in there who gives you that option of just going, no, I'll sit in for this bit and you can go and make that push. But it does feel much more like, yeah, Gravenberch's got a greater understanding of not only his role, but actually where else he can take that role. Because that was if you can have a criticism of his breakout season, which was last season, he didn't score or assist, or enough, you know, across that campaign when it's clearly in his skill set. It doesn't look like that's going to be a problem this time around.
No, it doesn't. I think taking him off the leash is it. I subscribe to the idea that nominally it looked like a midfield from last season, didn't play like a midfield from last season for me at all. You know, the sort of evolution, like you sort of allude to there, is Gravenberch and his positioning with inside of it. You know, the fact that him and McAllister and Szoboszlai are all swapping places. At times you've got Kerkez going into the sort of gaps and the half spaces. At times you've got the fullback going in. It's seamless at times, and that's why I think we're having sort of moments or periods in games rather than like 90 minutes at the moment. I think the fatigue is playing a factor, but also like when it works really, really well. Gravenberch seems to me like he's playing like he's 10 foot tall. He's playing like a Premier League champion. Like he knows he's a Premier League champion, and they all are, to be fair. They're all a little bit like that, but he's grabbing games by the scruff of the neck, or should I say grabbing games by the scruff of the neck. In the same way that Steven Gerrard used to, but he does it in a completely different way. You know, but he is grabbing the game now and he's dragging it forwards, and it's his touch, it's his control, it's his use of the body. You know, it's getting on the edge of things. It's having the confidence that McAllister and Szoboszlai are going to cover him as he makes a sort of languid run into the penalty area where the pass shouldn't work but does. How many times have you seen Salah make that pass and have we ever scored a goal from it? Like, no, the ball's behind him, he flips it over the goalkeeper like he's only got small arms, which he does, and it all adds up to Gravenberch is the best player in the Premier League right now. I'd put him in the top three personally with Pedri and Vitinha, maybe João Neves, something like that in terms of midfielders in the world.
You're not having a bit of Valverde?
No, none in them, and none in that regard. Not for me, not right now. Like the three would be Pedri, Vitinha, and Ryan Gravenberch for me. I think that would be mine at the moment. So yeah. Take your pick. Out of that,
yeah, absolutely.
He's top drawer. He's absolutely top drawer. He's 23 years old. He's about to enter into his best years, and I think he's kind of redefined, as Dan said, the sort of six from last season. But he's maybe our best attacking mid at the moment, as well as our best defensive midfielder.
This is the thing.
He's got absolutely everything. He's box to box as well.
Great defensive midfielders in the modern game. So not Claude Makelele score goals as well. Fabinho scored goals, Rodri scores goals. So he needs to have that going for him as well, really. And it's really interesting. We're going to be talking about the Arsenal Man City game on the Bias Football Pod after this show on Redmen Plus. Highly recommend coming and checking that out because it should be really good fun. But you look at Rodri, and look, he's coming back from a long-term injury. Will he get back to those sort of levels?
We'll give him 18 months, he'll be there.
Quite possibly. But also, who knows? Because, you know, not everyone's Virgil van Dijk. Most people lose something when they have that injury. But you can see him right now is that he's a force on the pitch, but he's not a complete midfielder at the moment, like he was, you know, prior to the injury. And Gravenberch has certainly doing that. He's much more mobile. He's playing with a freedom. He's actually playing with, like, he actually really enjoys doing what he's doing. I loved his post-match interview. You know, he was just, you know, he was asked about, like, Liverpool clearly love tight games, and he was just laughing his head off. It's just ridiculous, the whole thing. He feels like a man, Chloe, who is very comfortable in his own skin, very comfortable in his position, and I think Chris is spot on. I think, you know, you've got this succession planning when you're building a title-winning team. You take your lads who know how to do it, and they've got to guide this new set of lads to another title so they can pass it on. And Gravenberch looks like he's taken everything that he's learned and added it to along with himself, as well as Szoboszlai and McAllister. And yeah, we've got a bunch of lads who are playing at the absolute, you know, just the maximum at the moment. But maybe not even.
Yeah, and it's quite scary to think about that, to think about how many players that have to get up to speed, have to get used to the style of play that we're actually playing as well, and fit in. And then when you think Alexander Isak's still coming back to fitness, plop into that. But on Ryan Gravenberch, it's just... Last season, for the first 6 months or whatever, he was the reason why we were where we were. And the thing is, he was 22, he was young and couldn't sustain it for the entire season. He got back to being on his best towards the end, obviously before he gets a red card. But he started the season like that, but on another level. And I think he mentioned it there. You know, he was doing the number 8 for Ajax, and when he was picked up by Bayern, he was picked up probably for his attacking ability more than his defensive ability. He comes into Liverpool's side, and a lot of people sit there and go, I'm worried about his tracking back. I'm worried about whether he you know, is concentrated and he's willing to put that work in. We've then moulded him to be this 6. He's learned all of those things. And the best part is now we've gave him the licence to go, actually, you're great at getting us out on the half turn. But if you just do that again a bit, you know, 5 yards further up the pitch, 5-10 further up the pitch, you can become actually a massive influence in most goals. And I'll go back to Newcastle, the winning goal, is ball into, I think it was Harvey Elliott, whoever passes it to Chiesa. He's under so much pressure, and he could try and go back, but he moves his body so the forward pass is always on. And I think that's the thing, is that he's learned now all areas. He was that box to box, and he was that box to box with this unbelievable height, and you know, he's a unit of what he is. But he then comes and he slots and does the 6, and he started to learn new things. And basically Slot just said to him, I like all of that, but in times in games when you can actually go 10 yards up the pitch because we're boxing them in, we've got loads of possession, and you've got the other two who understand you so well and know that when you advance, one of them has got to cover. You know, go and do what you were doing for Ajax. Go and use that ability that we all know you have. Yeah. And he's becoming so influential in every part of the game. He is one of the first names on the team sheet, which, you know, he was at the start of the season. And it's scary because he's 23 and it feels like he's got absolutely everything. There is not one thing. He is a complete midfielder. He can do every part of that midfield role. But what you're seeing is him holding that 6, but actually throughout the game, he'll become your 10. He'll become your 8. And then he's also so good at reading it.
We play him at centre-back at times, and he's brilliant as well. Like we're talking about, you shouldn't be able to do that. Like, that should be bad. You know what I mean? It should be a real weakness.
Who does he remind you of? Because I've been racking my brain about a play. Everyone loves to do that, though. Players from the past.
It's Pogba still.
Really?
The best version of Pogba.
Okay. I couldn't come up with anyone
I've
myself.
never really shook that feeling, to be honest. I know we all hated him. And he went terrible to us. He was on his day. He was unbelievable.
Juve
Pogba was sensational.
But I think you can trust him to keep the door shut more than Pogba ever could, because Pogba was a bit more of a free spirit.
Yeah, that's fair.
And you know, if he was more mouldable, he probably would have had. He's had a good career. He probably would have had an even better, a better domestic career anyway.
You can take instructions better, Gravenberch, and the discipline side of it. As Pogba, you probably didn't quite.
Steve was throwing around the Ruud Gullit thing. You know, there's definitely. I mean, in terms of at Gullit, we see by the time
when he came to the Premier League,
the Gullit that we watched, our generation, was tail end of his career coming to Chelsea and was far more defensive sort of minded. Whereas the pomp, exactly, the pomp one goes all over the place. There's an inevitable. I don't think he plays it in that powerhouse way that Yaya Toure did.
No.
But if you're talking about someone,
too silky,
but if you're talking about someone who is a 6 but you could comfortably play him in the 10 and get a completely different but equally brilliant performance out of him. You know, Yaya certainly had that. You talked about the Gerrard thing. Again, these are all ludicrously high
the only
bars.
likenesses I come to they're not sixers. They're just not. They are players that play further up the field.
Genie Wijnaldum's another one. I think he possesses a lot of the same skill set.
Who's got the half turn? Like
Thiago had the half
was the
turn.
only one.
That's it. I think he learned that.
Yeah, maybe. He's just naturally not a 6. And I don't think there's any shame in saying that. Chloe, you referenced there the fact that we had I certainly had reservations about when he was
definitely
you know what I mean?
didn't. I was
because
his biggest fan.
we just no in terms of when it first sort of got muted, it was about to become. When we signed him, I was absolutely over the moon. But I thought we were signing an 8.
An 8 or a
It was
10.
got to be creative and make things. Because that's what he was at Ajax. That's what Bayern Munich signed him as you rightly referenced.
Well, I remember saying, no, I think we've bought him as cover for the 6, and Klopp was clearly like, nope.
Yeah, because it felt like a nope. Yeah, it felt like a big no.
I've got some quotes here. Christian Falk provided these at the end of last season, so these were regurgitated by the Mirror, I think, yesterday. Of course, there is an internal regret over Ryan Gravenberch's exit from Bayern. The club knew what he was capable of, but he needed playing time that he wasn't going to get at Bayern, yada, yada, yada. Thomas Tuchel, former Bayern Munich manager, saw Gravenberch playing further up the pitch, perhaps as a 10 or an offensive 8. But last season, he proved that the Dutchman is more than capable of playing a more defensively minded midfield role. If Tuchel had seen this, Bayern wouldn't have spent 51 million on João Palhinha. And then he carries on, that still hurts a lot. Credit to Marco Nepp and Hassan Salamarovic, who brought him in, but you still need a coach who trusts and counts on the player. Ultimately, if a player can perform like this at Liverpool, then it's clear a mistake was made. So Tuchel didn't see him as a DM. Klopp didn't see him as a DM. Bayern generally didn't see him as a DM. Slot did.
Yeah.
There's your difference.
I mean, he didn't really have a choice. You know what I mean? But
was also going to come in if
Imagine
he'd
a
have said
sliding doors moment for you, isn't it?
Yeah. And do you know what? I also think this is... It's always opportunity, I think, at football clubs, isn't it? You've got to have that. But equally, I sort of think after I read that, I was like, if he stays at Bayern and they think he's a 6, does it work? Or is it the fact that it didn't work at Bayern that pushes him to apply himself to the 6 more at Liverpool? Last chance saloon, big football club. You've got to do it now, mate, or never. And I think that adds something as well.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not many times a player goes to a big club like Bayern and then somehow ends up at Liverpool.
Liverpool do it all the time.
Equally, if not.
After the season like that,
Ekatike.
We like a hard luck story.
Ekatike, Mo Salah.
Yeah.
PSG and obviously Chelsea not working. We like a failure
we like
almost on the
that,
CV. You know what I mean? We've got a track record.
It's a very Kloppian philosophy, that, isn't it? Of like,
to be able to come back,
take lads who've suffered a few knocks and see if they can use that as like fuel. I agree with it. I think you look at like Cole Palmer at the moment as an example, and he's obviously been a little bit better this season than he maybe was in the back end of last season. But there's a lad who's really never had anything but everything go right for him, and I always worry about footballers like that sometimes. And what happens when it just stops going in, you know, or you have a little spate of injuries, and how do you recover from it if you've never really had to face that?
Phil Foden was that for a long time.
Foden
looks like he's coming out the back end of that, by the way. But he was that for a hell of a all season, wasn't he? Really?
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
But that's another positive, is because it went so bad at Bayern, like actually us getting round him and giving him another opportunity. It's like, well, you believed in me, so I'm going to do everything to fight back and kind of give you everything.
Repay that,
I think in terms of the Premier League, though, just to kind of round it out, obviously Caicedo's having a good season, and I don't think it'd be churlish to say he's not in that conversation in terms of that position and the best
he's
for it.
He's just not doing it for Premier League champions. That's it.
Well, he's doing it for the world champions, though, Chloe.
He's not as well.
That was a thing.
Yeah, he's not.
Declan Rice doesn't play there anymore. You know, so he's another one who is, you know, in that sort of mould in terms of he's a 6, but I think he's the opposite in that. Like, I think he's naturally a 6 getting asked to play 8.
I think he's a great player, but his corners are what making him in this conversation, nothing else.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think he's a great player.
Yeah,
but he's not on Gravenberch.
Not right now.
So how much? Can I ask a question?
Yeah, maybe.
How much do you reckon? So Declan Rice went for 100 mil. How much is Ryan Gravenberch right now?
Well, Declan Rice was overinflated at £100 million. He should have been like 80, I reckon.
English tax, so.
Yeah.
But Caicedo 115, wasn't he?
He's a better player than him.
Enzo Fernandez 105,
Miles better than him.
100, whatever.
Let's go 116.
The thing that's fine, why not?
That's it.
The thing that's worth remembering.
That's it, she says.
Just that.
No, it's not good enough.
That's the baseline figure.
Inflation.
I'm
By the
still
way,
waiting for add-ons
He
here,
had some
Chloe.
clubs, hasn't he? Speaking about Ajax, Bayern Munich, Liverpool. He's doing all right for himself, isn't he? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they call it. Well, it's not failing upwards because obviously he was very good at Ajax. But yeah, he's doing.
He
He's doing
completed the
very well.
set.
It's normally Chelsea players that do that, isn't it? You just have this
Absolutely.
tendency to just keep staying around big clubs.
teams that love a Champions League.
It is worth remembering on this, by the way, that Jude Bellingham was Liverpool's number one target for 2 years leading up to him ultimately choosing Real Madrid. And this guy was on that shortlist. Like, he was the one who was considered. And if I remember at the time, like, FB Ref had him in the same comparisons as Jude Bellingham. Now, the idea of Bellingham is, I think, is a more, obviously, ultimately offensive footballer. But in terms of that, in terms of how highly he's thought of, that's the sort of echelon that Liverpool are clearly hoping he can get to. And when your career path is Ajax, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, why not? You know, so yeah, good on him so far.
It's interesting that, and I think, listen, in terms of like skill set wise and attributes wise, and just fundamentally what they're capable of, I'm gonna get pelters for this. I don't think there's loads to choose between them. I really
Get in,
don't.
Dan.
No, I don't think there's. I think what is the difference between those two? Then we're seeing more of it with Gravenberch in terms of stepping up in big moments, and as you rightly said before, grabbing games by the scruff of the neck. That's what Bellingham is brilliant at. Isn't that's what he always like, not on my watch, we're not losing there. That's what Bellingham, at his age especially, that leadership, that no, this isn't happening, I'm going to be the guy to make the moment. That's where Bellingham, I think, stands above most, actually, to be honest.
And the fact that Bellingham seemed to have a 25-year-old's physique at 18, and Ryan Gravenberch, I think, he's still filling out. You know, you're not actually going to see him in his final form for another 2 years. You've got to get to 25 before you broaden. You know, you'll see it. Like, you know, he'll get wider up top. He'll thicken out, and if he still maintains that level of pace as well that he's got, and that, you know, the close control shouldn't go anywhere. It should only get better. Then, I mean, because again, right now he's definitely thickening out. He's becoming more sort of hench. But you look at Rodri, and you can see Rodri looks like a fella, doesn't he? You know, and remember Jordan Henderson going through a similar thing. So yeah, interesting to see how far he can go. Let us know in the comments, how good is Ryan Gravenberch, and how good can he be, and how much money is he worth right now? Let us know in the comments. Cool.
I want to know how much Chloe thinks, by the way.
Me, 700.
More moments, and we'll have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
More big moments.
Okay, sorry.
What's he got? Two Premier League goals and 4, 5.
Yeah, it's a great start. Like, you just need to do that more consistently in big games, I think. Under 50 million.
Yeah, okay.
Easily.
Is he better than Scott McTominay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bellingham would be in the conversation, but he's been injured.
Yeah.
So.
Sucks to be him, doesn't it?
Probably not, actually.
It's probably
He's probably
fine.
okay.
He's also had like 4 careers already, Jude Bellingham, in terms of the amount of footy he's played. Like, my word.
2 goals and 2 assists in all comps for Ryan Gravenberch so far this season. Is a pretty solid start for our nominal number 6. Long may it continue. Speaking of lads who've hit the ground running, and bagged another great goal for us. Yeah, absolutely. Hugo Ekitike, Chloe Bloxham. Isn't it dead funny how, you know, we've gone through a roller coaster over the last 4 months, sat at these desks, from what do Newcastle think, as if there's a world where you can have Ekitike and Isak. And
how do we get Ekitike and Isak in the same side?
There's someone predicting that they both sign for Liverpool.
Mental. Still the weirdest thing of the summer, that.
No, yeah.
And the fact that you're here for a show.
To the point that these we weren't sure what we were going to get. We weren't sure whether he was going to be at the level. I was happy to say that I didn't think he was ready to join Liverpool. I thought it was too soon. We've signed Isak as well, and he's dead good. He's really good.
He's absolutely incredible. I watch him, and it's the ability of the lad to be able to do everything. I mean, I remember we signed him, and everyone was like, don't expect him to, have really good finishes and be able to score. That'll come. It's his build-up play that you should all look at. Well, give him the ball in front of, in a tight area. I mean, that first touch is exquisite. And I think because of how good Ryan Gravenberch's goal is, everyone's underestimating the first to trap that ball. He's got one lad on his shoulder. Tarkowski is steaming in ahead to basically take the lad out, and his touch is so close. The wind back to get your foot on the ball and shoot that quickly. He megs his Pickford and slots it. Look, I don't want to make comparisons, but I have been at Goodison really where Darwin Núñez, in that exact same position, it's a ball straight at Pickford. And the composure of the lad to just trap the ball and finish it.
To have it luckily go under the goalkeeper
I was going to
instead
say,
of
he's literally hitting a Pickford there. Pickford's got out the way.
It's not easy to get down like that when you're...
But just, we're joking, but also I think it's a valid point though, Chris, is that he has got that thing that Darwin did not possess, and that is just things just seem to go in for him, because like Chloe's point is right, but at the same time we're right, Ekitike isn't putting things in bottom corners.
If Pickford had longer hands, maybe he saves Ryan Gravenberch. It's a great finish, but it just be a great finish.
I'm not taking away from the finish, I'm just saying he's got a thing.
Why it's so good though is because of what Chloe says. It's that first touch.
Yeah.
And it's that he takes 2 touches and the ball's in the back of the net. You don't give the keeper time. Yeah. And if you give the keeper
keeper's
time...
still rushing out.
Yeah, you give the keeper time, you give him more opportunity to save it, don't you? Go back to the Community Shield, gets it just inside the area, takes 3 touches, bangs it into the bottom bin. Newcastle, obviously, 1 touch, pass straight to him, doesn't take a touch, shoots straight in. Everton, 2 touches. Bournemouth, it was 3 touches. You know, there is 4 goals. He's not dwelling on the football. He's moving the ball really quickly. He's making decisions really quickly, and he's hitting the back of the net. I was the same. I thought from everything that I've seen, you know, when we were linked with him and stuff, his finishing, he's not the finished article. You can see that in his FB ref. You can see it's up and down. Right now it's up. It may go back down. But he's come in, he's hit the ground running, like you say, and he looks like one of those guys who's just got the confidence that everything he's going to do early, and he's going to be decisive, and he's going to make a decision. He's going to make the goalkeeper try and make a save. He's converted 66.67% of his big chances so far this season. Darwin's wasn't that. You know what I mean? He had a barometer there, and he's come in and going, don't do that, Sound, I'll do this. Yeah. And he's doing it. You know, he's legitimate, he's laudable, he's live, he's lively, and thankfully he's fucking lethal, and he's Liverpool's. He's fucking Hugo Ekitike.
Yeah, we didn't watch any football over the summer because you weren't here, but you took your dictionary away with you.
Why all L's? I've got to ask. Why were they all L's?
He's maybe that's why.
I started with lethal and live.
And just went from there.
I just went backwards,
You did well, don't get me wrong, I was impressed, but I just didn't expect it.
He's got something, and it's mad to think, like, watching the Arsenal City game, and watching Gyökeres play, and you're like,
forgot he was playing.
Good God, what have they bought there? Like, you mean
in his jeans,
might as well. Like, you know what I mean? God, he like Ekitike's nominally been bought as our second choice number 9, and he's better than Arsenal's big first choice signing in that position. It's mad. He's so good, and I think, Dan, it's worth considering that I thought it was good management as well this week, because when I saw Isak come on, you could see why he didn't start, because there was nothing there. There was nothing. He was walking around like the Tin Man, but you know, actually,
it was like he was running around with my fucking heavy legs on him. His body wasn't ready to pick him up.
He's in a world of pain.
He was running like an 80s action figure, you know, 3 points of articulation, like a original Star Wars figure. But I thought it was good management at the time, because if Isak starts it there, you go, well, Ekitike must be thinking, like, what am I doing? I've started as well as I could possibly start, and it worked out pretty well ultimately.
Absolutely it does. And I think getting minutes into both is really important now. Arne Slot reference post match how neither of them are really up to speed enough to do 90, so it's a good problem to have anyway. But right now, them swapping and changing, one starts, one comes on for the final half an hour, is absolutely the perfect balance. And I think it was just rewards for Ekitike in terms of starting that game, because as you rightly referenced there, like he There's an argument to be made that he just deserves the shirt right now because he is the one who's in form, which is a ludicrous thing to say.
Well, how good does Isak have to be? Is the
mad thing. Fit for starters.
Being able to move would be a start. But yeah, Ekitike, and we had sort of loose conversations around this when we initially signed Isak, and nobody really knew where he was at in terms of his fitness. But he's done enough. Like, I was in the camp of this. I was in the ruthless camp thing, and I was like, listen, once Isak's up and running, it's his shirt. But the more and more you watch Ekitike, the more and more examples, the more and more showings he puts up, like the weekend, the more and more inclined I am to go, might just be his for a little bit, because he's that good. That's the level of performance he's putting up in terms of in front of goal, clinical as fuck at the weekend, lovely finish, and his all-round game is he's just on it right now, and he's full of confidence. He backs himself. All the things you want your striker to be, Hugh Ekitike is right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's clearly the centre forward that Slot's been looking for. In terms of what he's doing. He's doing the whole lot. And I did wonder a little bit whether, like, is he being a bit greedy here? Like, what do you want? You want someone who drops deep and links the play really well. You want someone who's good in the air so you can play a bit of an outball if you're under pressure, but also be threatening in that regard as well. And also someone who can play on the shoulder and has got enough pace to get in behind and worry people. You're talking about a perfect centre forward, and he's bought two. It's just you think, no, come on, you can't have it all. Because, like, even... Again, I don't want to tread on the bias football too much, but, like, Haaland's not even really all of that either. In terms of the stuff deeper on the pitch.
But when Ekitike's on the pitch, right, and then you bring in Isak on, like, the good managers, and certainly even some of the not the best ones, like Brendan Rodgers, say Plan B is Plan A better. Fucking hell, you got Ekitike on the bench and Isak from it. That is literally fucking just do Plan A better, isn't it?
But Ekitike's form is a blessing, isn't it? As well, let's have it right, because Isak isn't clearly. We can joke about him. He clearly isn't ready. You know what I mean? So the Ekitike playing in a way, and the man that he is an absolute godsend right now.
Yeah. But he looks like he could be an absolute superstar. He's technical ability is off the scales, and he's got the. For someone so tall, you feel like it should be a bit more awkward for him. But his first, everything's just not awkward, and like you said there, he can come short. He's got the nice little flicks.
So carry on. I'll say it when you're done. Okay.
He's got the nice little flicks around the corner in the link-up play, but also just get on the half shoulder and he's off. He's on it.
He took a bow in front of the crowd. He scored in the Merseyside derby and did it by, like...
And a fucking knee slide in the wet. There's nothing better, is there?
Oh, prime condition.
Honestly.
He's feeling himself, isn't he? He's backing it, and I like that a lot. Good touch for a big man. Is where you were kind of heading with.
Yeah.
Great.
We'll say that a lot this season, I feel.
But he's so graceful, isn't he, when he gets the football? But that run off the shoulder, like, that's what you want, isn't it? You know what I mean? And Gravenberch knew exactly what was going on.
He's not lightweight with it, though, that's the thing. Because you're right, he's so tall, you kind of go...
I'd have said long. Yeah. Just for the L.
Yeah, exactly.
Lengthy, leggy.
But so you think.
By the way, lithe is the best description.
Lithe, yeah. Makes me feel a little uncomfortable, but I know what you're saying. Particularly when you make direct eye contact with me when you say it. Lithe. But yeah, so you see tall and you think. A bit of Peter Crouch in that kind of stuff. He obviously had the great touch for a big lad, but he was never a powerhouse. So you think powerhouse, and you think more Emil Heskey type thing, and then you think like you think the gliding kind of thing, and you think Torres has got a bit of that, and you think that all round the completeness. Collymore had a lot of that kind of going for him. So you're picking loads of parts of former Liverpool strikers. There's probably a mention for Bobby Firmino in terms of how he actually links the play and adapts to the role. Linchpins.
I'll stop in that.
The attack.
There's a bit of Littman.
Oh yeah, there's another L.
Yeah, Laura Littman and I'm really impressed. But when he does the close control thing, you see that happen, and then you get dispossessed, and you go, "What were you doing, you dick?" But actually, if it's not quite get it through, he elbows people and like fights and scraps it through and comes out the other side. He goes into a huddle of like 3 of the opponent players and comes out with the ball because he wills it. He's not. What I'm saying is he's not just this like flashy lightweight, and he could be because he's got all the things. It's the celebrations and and the
highlights.
Yeah, exactly all that stuff. He should be a bit of a shithouse, and he's not. Yeah, he's great. We touched upon it. I was going to do more on the match itself, but let's be perfectly honest. After that first half an hour, it was one of the lowest quality games of football I've ever watched.
It was horrendous.
So I want to talk about the substitutions just to carry this conversation on, really, Chloe. And look, Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak on the bench. There's going to come a point in the season where that is going to shake the entire planet when we make that substitution. This was not that game because Alex Isak, as mentioned, was basically, I felt like all of his joints had been fused together, and then Wirtz, a little bit of that pushed out onto the wing. Everything else we were doing wasn't working, so we brought these two lads on, and I just felt a little bit sorry for them. But in time, that's just a measure of just how brilliant our squad is.
Yeah, when Liverpool have played that bad and then Everton are really up for it, it's the Merseyside derby. It's probably not the best to be bringing on a lad who literally can't move and another lad who has not had a great start to the season, and he's just not up to speed with the Premier League right now. And it feels like he just needs that one bit of luck. The ball it's a great ball into him, and he cuts inside, and I think he should have just cut across the ball and put it into the bottom corner. But Florian Wirtz cuts inside, and look, if it's a better touch, he's got a chance there, but ultimately it just doesn't land for him. And yeah, it just wasn't the game for them. We needed people who were opposing, who were going to make the ball stick, who were going to get us up the pitch and get more people into play.
Curtis Jones.
Yes, Curtis Jones. The game was screaming out for Curtis Jones, someone who wants the ball at every opportunity that he possibly can, and he won't lose it. And it just felt like we couldn't get them into the game, mainly because Liverpool were crap, but also because they're not up to the speed right now of where we need to be when you're coming on for Liverpool. So I felt a little bit sorry for them. I felt especially sorry for Florian, because Isak, you knew the excuse and things. Florian had a great chance to cut across a shot and score in the Merseyside derby and completely kill the game off, and instead he chooses the other option, and the touch isn't as good, and then that's once again just something for people to then have a go at him for. But I have no doubt that Florian Wirtz is going to become an unbelievable footballer for Liverpool. It's just about him getting up to speed, and I'm actually really happy that Southampton's up next, by the way, because I think it's a perfect option for him to get a couple of minutes and show everybody what he's exactly about.
I think for me, it's all well and good saying the price tag doesn't affect me, but like you're talking about it probably has, you know what I mean? And I think a fully confident player takes that on their right foot.
Yeah.
The shot that Chloe's talking about. I think players who are lacking a little bit of confidence for whatever reason cut back and try and make it easier for yourself. Yeah. So that's as simple as it was for me.
Isn't he right-footed as well? So you're putting inside and going on your weaker foot.
There's no conversation to be had around this. Let's call a spade a spade. Like, it's a terrible decision. Yeah. It really is. Like, it's just, he has to hit that first time.
Frimpong did something similar the other week, didn't he? You know, he took that touch and then as the shot and put it down.
Yeah, it doesn't work as well for a right.
Ngamoa fed it into him. But yeah, he does. You'd almost expect that from you right back a little bit.
I mean that it's that, you're right. It's two players there who have tried to make sure.
Yes.
And you're right, confident players just hit stuff and it goes in and you wheel away. Ekatiké's been doing it all season long for us. Have a sniff and smack it in the goal, mate. Don't worry about it. And you're right, I think he's in his own
against Atletico, it was like, it's always, someone there, or it's not quite bounced right for him and stuff like that. And I think he's feeling that. And I think actually to quantify that is the pace of the game. I think that's the difference, and why you can see someone's not, when you say, he's not up to the pace, that's it. Because in the Bundesliga, there ain't another man there coming back to steal the ball away from you.
Yeah, and it happened earlier on. Before that moment, he lost possession and he gets booked immediately after. He tries to grab the man back, and that to me was just not being up to speed, just not anticipating the fact that more bodies will be around than what you're accustomed to. But that's mad to me, because whilst the Bundesliga isn't quite as intense as the Premier League, and maybe it is taking a little bit of adaptation time. Played a lot of Champions League footy.
Yeah.
Like, he played Champions League midweek. He's played against opposition from other countries, and he knows what it's all about. He's played against Liverpool before, you know what I mean? Like, he should really have a decent grip. It's just not happening for him.
I thought he was all right in midweek as well, to be fair. But he's had I just think we need to play a team. Sounds stupid, this. We need to play a team that are just going to play football against us and just
get battered. so he can get confidence.
You know, exactly. Yeah,
I know.
We've
Where are
done
these
nothing but
teams?
play teams that just want to defend
Where's
their
Vincent
existence.
Company's Burnley when you need them?
100%.
But Will still Southampton.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
naive. It's like playing your little brother in a boxing game. Like, you know, he just doesn't know how to block.
My little
You know,
brother's
just-
massive now, though.
Confidence booster.
Yeah, exactly. He just needs, because he's come up against like the worst of the Premier League in that
Arsenal,
regard.
surprisingly, might be the worst of them all, though, to be perfectly
But like,
honest.
you know, we got the Palace brought Will Hughes on. Will Hughes is like the archetypal player that you like. He don't have Will Hughes in the Bundesliga. Like, I mean, just these absolute yard dog journeymen, you know, desperate to make a mark at any given opportunity, normally on someone's shin. And he's gone through it all to the point where like Arsenal play 3 defensive midfielders against us. He's got Garnegay's in that game. You know, a lot of them just keeps going up against these. Like, can we just play one of those naive idiot teams?
Spurs, Postecoglou, where is he?
Yeah.
Forest now.
When do we play
Maybe-
Forest?
Yeah, maybe that'll be the one. I can't wait that long.
Also, like, I think we just lost control of the game.
Yes,
It
anyway.
was so poor.
Like, completely lost control of the game.
Why did we just stop
We
playing?
decided we were going to play the second half like we were at Goodison Park.
Yeah.
The last ever appearance and let them be the home team for a
Yeah.
game for half.
But you were like, Everton didn't turn up first half. We never came out for the second.
No.
It was,
It was mad because we had that good spell, you know, at the start of the game. Basically won the football match, which was cool. But it was quite similar to Atletico in that right at the end of the half, they had a couple of chances. Garnegay has a good strike, doesn't he? Beto spoons one.
Yeah.
And you think, well, don't do this again. For the love of God. And we didn't. And we got through to half time. And then instead of doing the thing that we always do in the second half, which is like, right, come on, the cop, bring it on. Here's all our best football coming. You're right. It was like we forgot how to do all the things we'd done up
Pass
to
a ball
that.
5 yards and keep it.
Yeah, so Isaac and Bert come on. And there's no one near them. No one to play football with.
The best part of the entire second half was our corners where we went short to Mo Salah, and that was literally about it. But even then, we managed to pass it out to the back, and I was like, wonderful. Just go keeper. We'll play it around for 30 seconds. It'll all be fine. And what instead happened is Virgil tried to pass it out for their corner, and they were at a long throw-in right by our box, which was very uncalled for from where we were.
I will say Alisson Becker didn't help in terms of how the game was going and in terms of my heart, because some of it's
Punches
passing, but some of it's
Oh,
passing.
yeah. Did that in the first
In terms
half
of
as
like
well.
giving them confidence and making them think they've got a sniff, because they shouldn't have had a sniff, to your point. We were far superior to them. We should have boxed them out of sight and it should have been done. Instead, we kind of went, do you know what, let's make this interesting. And all of a sudden started playing it into the midfield with like no time.
We are
It was
gonna
fucking
have
nuts,
that.
like, honestly.
Now, this is something I think Liverpool have got a bit of an issue with at times. Is I spoke about this on the deep dive last week. Liverpool build up with a 2 and a 3, so it's the 2 centre halves. Everyone else, you look at Arsenal, you look at City, they build up with a 3 and a 2. I think sometimes we just make it a little bit difficult for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, you can just drop an extra man in there and just make sure that you've actually got one more player than they have in the very first phase of build-up, especially when you're on top. Like, you know what I mean? It felt a bit, for a manager who last season was very much...
Adaptive.
Well, more the...
Risk-averse,
Remember what he
like.
said?
Yeah.
You know, it's about playing less risky passes, and when you do it, it's like that seemed quite a big risk for me at 2-0.
And the thing you've not got on the pitch is Trent Alexander-Arnold, who, if you are penned in and you're not quite sure how to neatly play it up the pitch, you can just give it to a lad who can play it 50 yards into someone's feet, and there you're up the pitch. And obviously Virgil's got that normally with the big crossfield one, but yeah, I think we're missing a little weapon in our arsenal there in sometimes where you can just change the landscape of the football match with a couple of kicks. But yeah, hopefully
We've done
the
the 3 and the 2 stuff already this season. It just seemed like in this last one we just decided not to. I don't know, it's strange.
Yeah. Just quickly, Mo Salah, I thought he dug in really well, Chloe. You know, particularly given the state of the game and how things have gone on, that could have been one where Salah could have just hung out on the touchline and waited for the outball to try and put the game to bed, but actually thought he got back in and made it hard. This is the guy who, you know, we were a little worried about a week ago. 3 goals and 3 assists in 7 games so far this season. 6 goal contributions in 7 football matches.
Yeah, he's probably all right.
He's probably all right, isn't he?
Yeah, it might be because, you know, he set the world alight last season, and because when he actually scores, for some reason it feels like you influence a little bit of the game more. And I think it's also because we know that even though he's got an assistant, like, he's not going to be happy with himself because he is so he's so dedicated to being
They're
the
like
best.
silver medals, aren't they?
Yeah.
Assists from Mo Salah. He's like, cool, but I prefer it when I've already got a goal.
Yeah, exactly. So I think also when you know that inside, he's probably sat there going, another game where, I've not quite scored there. It's annoying for him, but yeah, I mean, I don't think we have a lot to worry about when he's on 6 goal contributions out of 7 games. Just imagine if he gets back to the speed at where he was last season, how good that Liverpool will become.
Absolutely. Just some thoughts on Everton then, Dan. I mean, I think the Grealish-Dewsbury Hall thing looks really good. They've got 2 good players and they can play well together. I had it said to me by an Evertonian in the build-up to this that the problem with having a couple of good players is that you all of a sudden realise...
Oh shit, the rest are...
We need some more, we need more good players. They're desperately crying out for a proper centre-forward. But, I mean, that being said, I thought Chino Barry was much more of a threat than Beto was when he came on. He did all the things that you want from that position better than the guy that he came on for. Obviously, Njai's a really... a real handful over the other side. They're all right, aren't they? I think is kind of what I'm driving at here.
Yeah, they're decent, yeah. I was pleasantly, but really sort of like shocked by their approach and what they didn't offer in the first half, to be honest. I thought the second half was much more like what I expected from the get-go. Just never turned up. All the sort of non-negotiable prerequisites you expect from Everton at Derby, there was nothing. Didn't fight, didn't make it difficult, didn't really lay a glove on us whatsoever. So yeah, first half, just an absolute non-event from their point of view. But I think second half, I think you're right. I think we saw more of what we're going to come to expect from Everton moving forwards. They've got some quality now, as well as the physicality with like O'Brien and Tarkowski, etc. The big problem for them is the other centre half, isn't it? Let's be honest. Like, yeah, it just is. Like, if it's Branthwaite in there, they're a different kettle of fish altogether. Like, Keane's not of the level at all. Like,
Are you sure though, Dan?
I'm pretty positive about it. But yeah, I'm pretty positive.
Is there a body of evidence to back up these claims?
Yeah, but yeah, listen.
Has he scored more own goals than Carragher yet?
The biggest problem is if Grealish keeps playing well, Everton won't have him for much longer. Like, he'll be back somewhere else.
He's going to Marcus Rashford the shit out of him.
Or they do what they did a few years ago with Lukaku and spend money to stay the same.
Yes.
Can I also say the fact that we didn't mention there's no section on Ndiaye means how good Kirk has played. And I think he deserves a little to be spoken about because I thought he was absolutely excellent. And obviously he's the lad at back post for their goal, but like he's tall as hell. He's short as hell, so put a ball back there, good luck.
I think he misjudges that, to be honest.
I
think he just misjudges that because he ends up... Yeah, it doesn't matter.
That moment
other than that, he was fucking excellent.
Yeah, that's his best performance was by some stretch, I think.
It's also a brilliant layoff for them to
good goal
as well.
He's thrived against
the two biggest
teams
I thought the weekend was
played.
brilliant. Personally, I thought he was brilliant.
Arsenal second half thought he was brilliant as well. So, shout out to Kirkers.
Yeah, he understood the briefing.
Can I just say, just a quick on Jordan Pickford? Obviously, funny, hate him, etc. But when he comes to the cop, I don't know if anyone noticed when he jumps up and touches the bar. Because obviously he couldn't reach the crossbar. He did it on purpose.
Twice.
He did it like as a joke. So I give him a little bit.
All right, so next time we'll sing "You Couldn't Touch the Crossbar" when it mattered.
Yeah. I didn't hate him for that.
I say this is like you need more of that in the game. I'm happy for that. And whenever James Maddison comes, he does that thing where he puts the ball deliberately out of the D on the corner and waits for the fans to kick off, and then goes and then puts it back. Fucking love a bit of that. I don't mind. If he hadn't done what he did to Virgil van Dijk in terms of just being pure recklessness, I think I'd be able to enjoy the existence of Jordan Pickford a little bit more because he's harmless, isn't he? You know what I mean?
Well, no, I think the problem with him, and as someone who this always ends up the same as well, is he's just the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
Like, do you know, he does it. But it always backfires on him. That fucking time wasting where he lays on the ball and then Arsenal does it.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? I don't see the benefits of what he does. No. I don't think he ever gets the benefit. I think it always backfires.
Yeah. Well, there was a time
like fucking Wile E. Coyote or something. Do you know what I mean?
Up at Newcastle, comedy villains. He was up at Newcastle. And he was giving it loads to the fans. Cause I think Everton might have been 2-0 up at the time, and he was giving it absolute big bollocks to them at half time. They got beat 3-2. Like, that's the sort of thing that seems to happen to him all the time. Yeah, I agree.
I'm here for that.
I just call it. It's not working for you. Find something else, pal.
Did you see Jack Grealish's post-match interview? Anyone watch Match of the Day?
Glorious.
He's
right though, you know.
He's fucking hilarious.
He's right though, isn't he?
Just like, went up to the referee and went, like, what are you doing? I've never seen anyone booked for doing that before. And like three
didn't even know he'd been
minutes.
booked?
Yeah, he didn't. He got booked by the referee for kicking off, and then he held the whole interview, and then went, I didn't even know I'd been booked, to be perfectly honest. So cool. It's good to find that out.
Imagine if he'd put in a tackle or something and then got it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean...
Oh, no, he got booked after the final whistle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on the way to the tunnel. It's just called someone a prick. There you go, off.
That's fine, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but I mean, Chris, what do you make on the injury time thing?
I think he's right. I think he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
I haven't seen 3 minutes at a time for about 5 years.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know, I don't know, 6 subs, something like that maybe. You know, one of them was made at half time or whatever. It was well more than 3 minutes at a time there. So, yeah, cry me a river, I'm not asked.
But you know what? He got absolutely every foul for Manchester City. And he's not getting every foul for Everton because they're just a little bit crap. But like, welcome to our world. Mo Salah gets absolutely nothing, mate. So welcome to the world.
Salah gets them called on him. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Most people just don't get the foul.
Yeah.
Salah goes the opposite and goes, your foul. He goes, how?
Yeah.
How are they grabbing me from behind and pulling me backwards and I'm the one fouling them, mate? I don't get it.
I have enjoyed the adding to the list of the great Everton book of injustices off the back of that. David Moyes kicking off about the injury time and the yellow cards and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, cool. At this point, what do you want us to say?
It was when Moyes said, basically, I'm okay with what Grealish said, but Moyes said basically if the score was 2-1 to Everton, would we have only had 3 minutes at a time? Probably not, mate.
No.
Shouts.
Still be playing now, David.
Anyway, I mean, to be fair, when you consider some of the shit they got away with last season, particularly at that Goodison game, when it was like the big Everton wank fest, where everyone was like, no, Everton, oh, we love Everton, oh, we love Goodison Park. It's like, no one's ever said that. You just fucking nostalgia, fucking wank fest, where everyone convinced themselves that this was a glorious throwback to the best days of football. So let them just get away with absolute brutality and allowing them to celebrate a draw like it was a win.
Did they get a red card at the weekend for that tackle on McAllister? That looked like a dangerous tackle to me.
Funny that, isn't it?
Did they mention it in their post-match interviews or anyone?
There's no need to, is there?
We're all the same. We all just whinge about the decisions that went against us.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works. Cool. Right, we're going to take a short break. When we return, we're going to be looking ahead to the midweek action where it's going to be all change for Liverpool in the Carabao Cup.
All change.
Hey everyone, it is a new month, which means only one thing. It's time for a new Legend giveaway here at the Redmen TV. If you are already an existing Legend subscriber, you're already in the hat. But if not, what are you waiting for? Get yourself subscribed now as a Legend and you will be in with a chance of winning this stunning piece of memorabilia. That's right, an iconic vintage Liverpool shirt signed by former Reds captain, legendary Phil Thompson. Not only was he playing career boss, he went on to have a pretty significant coaching career at the football club as well. So proper Liverpool legend status right there. You will get loads of amazing perks as a Legend subscriber, as well as a chance of winning that beautiful piece of kit alongside me. Get yourself there now. Get it done. redmenplus.com. Legend subscriber. See you soon.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I have no idea whether that picked up on the microphones what was just said there. Let's hope for everyone's sake it did not. Disgusting. Right. Yes. Thank you to everyone who has been and continues to be a Legend tier subscriber over on redmenplus.com. You're amazing, and your name will be in the draw for another wonderful piece of signed merch this month. Okay, Southampton. Slot said Van Dijk, Ibu, Gravenberch, Sobo and Mo won't play, which I think just as a starting place, Chris, is absolutely fair. Yeah, get
absolutely.
them all away from this game.
They've played
a
lot of footy in the last 7 days or whatever, haven't they? So get them out, take this opportunity to make the changes. And there's players there that we want to see as well, like, Leone for one. For me, I'm excited to see. Rio, obviously another one there. So yeah, absolutely, I'm really looking forward to it actually.
Dan, there's talk. So I mean, in fact, you were the one who put this out on socials from your, and it's
exclusive interview with Rod Page.
Leone,
yeah.
I mean, as expected.
Well, he was. I didn't even mention him because that was just kind of par for the course. It felt like, yeah.
Jayden Danns, again, kind of as expected. If he makes the bench in the midweek, then for the Champions League, he's going to be involved for this one. You would imagine. It then starts to get into the territory where I'll be honest, I'm trying to find the names.
Tommy Pilling, Kieran Morrison, Kate Gordon, Rhys Williams.
The Tommy Pilling one, I can't attest to know anything about him. Who is Tommy Pilling?
Young.
Obviously,
but no, by trade midfielder, I would say, but probably more versatile than that. Played in a variety of different positions, really, including like a sort of like a false number 9 type thing. Also played in more fullbacky areas previously. So yeah,
has he just played everywhere apart from goalkeeper?
You see a lot of this in the 18s, in particular, but especially with the lads who are quite technically gifted and quite adaptable and capable of doing that sort of thing. So I'm a fan. Yeah, he's a good player.
Kieran Morrison feels to me a bit like one of those players. It feels like he's been at us for ages and I mean, because you come through the academy, of course, but what I mean is like floating around the 18s to 21s, but you never really hear him spoken about as like one who's going to, and yet every time I see him, I'm impressed by how good he is.
I think that's a fairish assessment of him, actually. I'm in a similar boat because I've been really, really bad. I've been sort of expecting and anticipating him to get this chance. He's one of those who's been up to first team training a handful of occasions now as well. What I really like about Kieran, he's really good to watch, actually. Wander the left foot and can make things happen. But for me, it's actually his approach to games and his character and his mentality. He's got that, and I've seen it happen on numerous occasions where maybe things haven't quite been going our way for whatever reason. He's always the one who wants the ball. We speak about Gravenberch before in terms of trying to stay games by the scruff of the neck. He is that, and he won't get opportunity to do this probably in this game. He might get 5-minute, 10-minute cameo, who knows? But just in terms of him as a player, winger really by trade, can play also as like a 10 as well. He's done both this season, but he does have that. Not on my watch. I'm going to try and win this game. Forwards about him, which I'm a big admirer of.
Yeah, and the other names, which are interesting for similar but different reasons, Rhys Williams and Kate Gordon. Obviously, Rhys Williams, almost a forgotten man. He's entering into Nat Phillips territory of, we still plays for us? Okay, cool. And Kate Gordon's had a string now of loans that haven't worked out for him, but it's mad to think, doesn't feel like that long since he was playing in the semi-final against Arsenal, playing really well, looking like the next one off the rank in terms of breaking into the first 11. So, but I'm wondering whether this is a bit of Slot saying I'm just making huge changes here, and also there's as a possibility that if someone like Rhys Williams and Kate Gordon can impress against Southampton, then you might facilitate a half decent move for them as well.
I've not considered like that. I kind of just assumed it would be Gomez and Leone playing centre halves, to be honest. I've not really considered Rhys Williams at all, and that was maybe down to the fact that I'd forgotten he was at the club, like you say, the forgotten man. So there's a potential, isn't there? I mean, we're not too far removed from 10-15 million being reported for Rhys Williams a few years ago, are we? So maybe they just see that as an asset that they can move on and get some money for and plough back into the academy. I don't know.
So, Chloe, before the break, I said all change, and there was a few scoffs in the room. Will it be an entirely different 11 for this game than kicked off at the weekend? Yeah,
I think so. Obviously, there's a full change from the back five for me, with Frimpong instead of Bradley and Robbo instead of Kirkes. Midfield, the thing is Florian Wirtz was basically rested against Everton. It's whether Slot sees this as a game to basically unleash him, to get him a little bit of confidence or not. That is the thing. But however, he doesn't have to start the game. He can play the last 30 or so. For me, I'd love to see Trey back in. I think Wataru Endo is nailed on because he's in and around it. It's whether they think it's going to benefit Maka or Florian Wirtz to play any part of that game. But Curtis Jones, for me, is the obvious one. And then up top, Isak comes in. I think he has to get minutes in the leg, so I think you start him. And then it's Chiesa or Rio. You maybe see a bit of Dan's. So I think it could be a full changed 11 for sure. But the fact that I'm mentioning this team, and several years ago, I might not have been as excited to go to a League Cup game. Actually, it's a little bit of early rounds of League Cup. But I'm talking about, I'm so excited to see Leone, I'm so excited to see Frimpong, I'm so excited to see Trey, I'm so excited to see Rio, like potentially Isak. Like, I'm now looking at this game going, my God, like this is a second squad we're putting out here, and I'm genuinely excited to go and see them.
There's something, just Chloe touched on McAllister there, Dan. it's whether he is like he is because he's not played enough or because he's played too much. And does he need to, do we need to keep plugging away with him for him to get back to his level, or are we having to be careful with him? Because my immediate reaction was, dear God, no, not McAllister, because he's not on it at all. But that will be telling, because if he's playing, it is because Slot thinks there's a benefit, a la Isak, of getting more minutes in his life.
Most definitely, and that'll be interesting to see exactly how that pans out, because I think that will be telling what is most beneficial for them. That'll be led by sports science and what have you, obviously. But for me, my immediate reaction was also no, because I feel like the treatment and the handling of McAllister has been more, let's get him away from football as quickly as possible. Back end of last season, obviously, he had a little bit of that international break, then out of nowhere played 90 minutes in the second game, which took everyone by surprise. Like moments after the manager said he's not ready to play football, there he was, running around Venezuela. So I would be inclined to not include him. I mean, it's the same with Florian Wirtz to a certain extent as well. I think a cameo of Wirtz would be more beneficial personally, but we'll wait and see. But it's going to be a fascinating one. For my two pennies worth in terms of the start 11, I'd be in agreement. If you're going to get Reece Williams in there in terms of shop window stuff like you touched upon earlier, you might do a Joe Gomez right back thing, and maybe you don't include Bradley or Frimpong. That's the way to do that.
I'd lean towards Gomez probably, or Leone probably gets 60 or 70 in that. That's probably where you see him. I'd guess on that.
And in terms of the striker stuff, I think he needs minutes. I don't think he needs 60 of them, personally, in this. I would be more inclined to go Jayden Danns with a little bit of Alexander Isak to finish.
It's just so interesting to know what Slot thinks of the competition, because I think the fact that we're going to see Reece Williams potentially, at least on the bench, and even Kieran Morrison potentially, Kate Gordon, Chris. The 11 might look quite strong, even if it is a rotator, but it will be decided, I think, by the bench. And I think if you've got the big lads on, then you'll know what he's trying to do. Whereas I have a sneaky feeling that I'm not going to throw it. Because I think if you can get through this with that B team almost, as it were, or the second choice 11, plus a bench full of largely of kids, you go, cool, because I can play that in the next round, and I can play that in the next round. I have a sneaking feeling that I don't think he wants to have to worry about this competition the way that he did last season, but we won't know until we see the substitutes bench.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, the Carroll, because at this early part of the season, it can be really helpful, in terms of the games. If you get through this, it's a good time for the next round, and you can start to give players like, oh, don't worry about it, you're not been involved, mate, but you got the Carabao, yada, yada, yada. If you go out here, you end up almost ruining it to some extent. But then you get too far in the competition. It's like, fuck, we're all in here. Jesus, I didn't mean to get all in, but I somehow got all in.
Yeah.
And then it comes at the Champions League, the extra 2 games after the turn of the year, and then you're going into finals in February or March or whatever it is nowadays and stuff. And then at that point, you're like, really? Do I want to be messing around with this stuff?
Well, you've got 2 rounds to fuck around, to do whatever you want. But if you accidentally get it wrong, you know what I mean, you end up in the quarters, which is the week before Christmas, and nobody, you know what I mean, you're like, oh my God, really?
More fixtures now.
And then, if you don't then do the right thing, and look, I'm joking, I've had great fun with the League Cup over the years, but, you know.
It's our competition.
Yeah, exactly, no, 100%. But then you're right, you've got this 2-legged semi-final where everyone's done in after Christmas, and now you won't have Salah for that period because of AFCON. This period, so you're coming into the busy period when he's goosed even earlier in the season, and yeah, they've got to slot that in somewhere. You're like, oh man, so glorious failure. I'm down with in these next couple of games if they wanted to go that way.
The thing is, the bigger our squad gets, I think the more important this competition does become.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think the better our squad gets, the more important this competition becomes. So I think this is the first season where I'm looking at him, genuinely looking at him going, we have got a squad that can compete across all the competitions now, and actually go far in all of them all at once. But you have to be able to get your players up to speed to do that. And this is that.
It can help you.
Saturday, Isak, Wirtz, whoever you want to talk about, whether they're going to start or not, or it's just Jayden Danns, Kaiser, etc., etc. We have to use this as an opportunity to get those players right.
I'm reminded of one of the Alan Partridge audio books where he does a big long walk and he takes little packets of jam along with him to give him like the energy boost. And that's what this early stage, it can be helpful, give you a real lift, but then all of a sudden you've got to deal with the consequences, like the crash that comes. And I it's interesting because I do think, I think you're right. I think we have got a squad capable. And Johnny David Blackshaw was saying in the comments about quads, 100 plus points and all that kind of stuff. He said he also caught the Premier League in November, which is good of him. Legend that he is. But do the FA Cup instead. You know, like if we're gonna do a domestic cup, as far as I'm concerned, do that.
But the FA Cup, it comes again when you start getting heavy into the Champions League and stuff. Going far in the FA Cup doesn't help because then you're in a title race potentially, and you're trying to get through semi-finals and quarters in the Champions League. At least you can sort of placate everybody with, we've won a little cup. Yeah. It's down there, and we can forget about it. Like in some regards, I think the Carabao might be getting more important for the bigger sides, and the FA Cup less because of where it fits in the season.
Can I ask, is it the same as last year where it's an absolute month between the semi-final legs?
It's a good question, yeah, I'm not sure. That
what was the point in, we lost to Spurs and it felt like
forgotten the result.
We lost to Spurs and at Spurs' Gan, and it felt in the aftermath as if it didn't matter because you had a full month before you played the reverse.
Is that because of the extra 2 Champions League games?
I don't know.
So, not quite this time around. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why. The semi-final... okay. So, round 5, aka the quarterfinals, weird, is now on the week commencing the 15th. Now, of course, because Christmas is like the end of the week.
25th December. Yeah.
Still. It is the day that it falls. Thank you. So that kind of, it does make sense. But the semi-finals are on the week commencing the 12th of January, and then the second leg is the 2nd of Feb. But then the finals, not till the 22nd of March.
Oh, it's quite late, actually.
I think it moved late last year.
It was in March last year. Normally it's the last week of February, historically, but it's also normally the 12th and then the week after in January. So, anyway, look... I hate being that guy. I really do. But it's just, I don't want my point is I think there's plenty of football to go around between the Premier League and the Champions League. There's 2 more Champions League games, and the FA Cup is there if you really need it. By the time you get there, make a good fist of the Premier League and the Champions League, and then the Carabao Cup. If you get through, fine. But again, if he loads his bench full of kids such that his substitutes are making the team worse, then I think it tells you how highly he ranks it, basically. Because I can't see a world where Kay Gordon and Reece Williams, who none of us even considered for first team football this season, could end up on a football pitch in a competition that the manager is
truly is invested in. Exactly. No, I think it's a fair point. I just think it'll be like he approached, very similar to the way he approached it last year, and it won't do anything to the detriment of Champions League and Premier League. But if we happen to find ourselves winning these games with those players, then so be it.
So
who plays the right?
Well, talk me out of this 11.
Chiesa.
So it'll be Mamardashvili.
Good to see him, by the way.
Robertson left back, Frimpong right back, Leone Gomez. Pick him whichever way you want around that. Endo Jones, Naoni.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then Rio, Isak, Chiesa.
I'm not sure about Isak.
I'm Dan's over Isak, just.
Okay.
I'm Isak over Dan's.
Interesting. Let us know in the comments. What would you do? Or what do you think the manager will do moreover in the comments section underneath. Crystal Palace at the weekend, just briefly before we wrap up.
Long day.
Something's got to give. 2 unbeaten sides going toe-to-toe.
I know. Yeah, absolutely.
The gay derby.
The irresistible force meets the immovable object. I never thought I'd say that about the Liverpool Crystal Palace game.
15 or 16 they're unbeaten in as well.
Yeah, it stretches way beyond, doesn't it? Yeah. Difficult place to go anyway.
It's always
without them being really good all of a sudden.
There's eyes on the Arsenal-Newcastle game, aren't there, at the week that's coming up.
That's incredible. Didn't know that. I mean, it tells you everything how I feel about Arsenal. The fact that I'm not even looking at their fixtures. Who am I?
It's done, isn't it?
What is going on? No, it's not done. It's not done.
Just saying.
Oh, I didn't even know they had Newcastle.
Yeah, but to the point, that's the one you want. I don't want to see yada yada this game because Crystal Palace are really good, and we've got a pretty good record at Selhurst Park. quietly, but I never feel like we've got a good record at Selhurst Park because apart from the exception where we absolutely
it's
dicked
never
them,
easy.
was that with the COVID season when we absolutely annihilated them. It always feels like it's a one goal kind of game. Fortunately, we're a one goal kind of team, so maybe that'll work out in our favour. But it is another one. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff. Arsenal play the Sunday, so it'll be a nice, again, 3 points. Re-establish your lead. Let them.
I'm slightly concerned about Gay having an unbelievable game because this is the type of performance that if you want to move to Liverpool quickly, this is when you do it, isn't it?
How do you approach that game? Because you've shut Liverpool out.
Well, there's rumours he's waiting for Madrid on a free now. And Canati must be shitting himself. So those two are going to be fucking 10 out of 10 performances trying to play.
Win for Liverpool.
Do you know what? I just would wish that Crystal Palace is just a slightly little bit closer to Liverpool because
it's not on the corner. Like
it's.
We suggested Fiorentino Perez might be sat at Selhurst Park. I don't think he's the president anymore, but someone of that stature. Zinedine Zidane, why not?
Raul, whatever.
Just sat at Selhurst Park watching next to Dougie Friedman.
Yeah. It's all right, that lad. Like free transfer, you say? Go on. We'll give you the free transfer. We'll give you 8 million for him.
Done. Yeah.
No, he's a free. You can have it if you just wait. You can have him for a free 9 million. Yeah, go on. Just win that game, Liverpool. That'll be absolutely splendid.
Does he play right back?
Faye, Gay.
They haven't got any. They haven't got any.
Oh, come on.
They haven't got any.
Anyone disappointed that Trent seems unlikely to be fit for the?
No, absolutely not one bit of my body.
Oh, I don't know. I was quite up for that.
I was fascinated to see how that was.
Not up for that, no.
I mean, I was up for it, but also he's now no longer wearing a Real Madrid shirt either, so that's fine with me.
I mean, if we thought like half the crowd booing him when he was our player was bad,
I think it would have been worse.
It would have
Sterling's
been nice.
Treatment.
Oh yeah, worse.
Up there,
Worse than what?
Sterling's treatment on his returns.
I'm not sure.
I'd have been practicing me boo.
The way
he's going into it, like,
Toffee TV lads.
Lads, give us some pointers here. How's this one work? Boom!
Rocky style training with us.
Inhaler into the
Like, no, like, you really need to get your chest involved and really throw it out there. Like,
it would have been interesting because I know loads of people who on the, when quite a few people did boo him. There was loads of people who were like, nah, he's one of us. And then since we've learned that he was learning Spanish for about 2 years, they've all gone the complete opposite way. So it'd have been interesting to see.
It was that bit
how
bad.
Bad.
It was how vociferously he celebrated with the trophy as well. And you're like, mate, I get it, but like, it's not about you. This just put it down. Anyway, theoretically, we won't see that because Trent picked up an injury in the week. So yeah, whatever. Okay, that is us for this show. Done. But we are not done. Come and join us over on redmenplus.com. We will be live in about 15 minutes or so over there, maybe a little bit longer, discussing Arsenal versus Manchester City, a game that Liverpool didn't play in yet still won because we win all the games. That's very, very good. Are Manchester United as crap as everyone thinks they are? Oh, maybe not. Join us over on there. It is a belter show, the Biased Football Podcast. If you don't join us, then you're a loser. Thanks so much, guys, for the show this week. You're all brilliant. I hope to see you over on the website. Ta-da. Bye.